Did you know that if you respond to a lead inquiry within 5 minutes, you're 10 times more likely to convert them? But here's the problem. 48% of real estate agents never follow up after their first call. Speed wins, and the leads go to whoever can answer the phone first. And right now, that's not you. Hi, I'm Edwin Chen, I'm an Oxford Maths graduate and a VoiceFlow certified expert. And today I'm going to show you how to build an AI voice agent that can call the lead the second they submit the form, have a natural conversation, and actually book them through the calendar. First, I'll show you a complete demo, a real call from start to finish. Then, we'll go through the build together, step by step, live on the screen. If you're new to this channel and don't know who I am, my name is Edwin Chen, and for the past year, we've been helping different retail and B2C service brands improve their customer experience on autopilot through my AI business, Legacy AI. Some of the clients that we work with range from a $250 million restaurant chain in North America to one of the world's largest retreat booking sites and other premium franchises. And if you're a business owner and you want to see this being built to your business, you're welcome to use the link in the description to book a free discovery call with me and my team. Okay, here's the demo. So imagine now we're at a real estate company called Hamilton's, and there's always a form, right, that people can fill in, like name, email, and the message, and you can submit to enter an inquiry. And some of the people in the sales team, right, in the real estate company will get back to you. Now, obviously, I don't have access to this form, so I'm just going to pretend like this is a gimmick, like mimicking this form essentially, right? So let me just kind of type my name in. So I'm just going to say my name is Tom, say Smith. My email address is 123@gmail.com. And I'm just going to put my phone number in just in case. Oop. There we go. And I'm just going to click submit. And I just submit the form. Now, this is very similar to kind of how we submit the form on the website, right? And now you can see I got a call. You can see it said potential fraud, but like I know it's an AI voice caller, right? So I'm just gonna pick it up and answer the phone.
Hi, this is Kevin calling from Hamilton Properties. Is this Tom?
Hi, yeah, it is.
Perfect. So the reason I'm calling you is because you have just submitted an inquiry form for Hamilton's real estate just now. Is this a good time for a chat?
Yeah, sure.
Brilliant, thanks. Well, I saw you came through our website, and I was just curious, what prompted you to fill out the form today?
Hey, yeah, so no, I'm just looking to rent a property in London.
Right, that makes sense. Can you tell me a bit about your current living situation then? Are you renting somewhere at the moment?
No, I actually live in Spain at the moment. I just want to kind of I'm moving to London next month.
Oh, wow, that's a big move. How exciting for you. What's bringing you to London next month?
Like I have a full-time job in London now, so I need to move to London.
Of course, that makes perfect sense. A new job is a great reason to move. Do you know where in London your new workplace is? That will help us think about the best areas to look in for your new place.
So yeah, it's around Mayfair.
Mayfair is a fantastic location to be working. That gives us a great starting point. When you picture your ideal next place, what does that look like? Are you thinking of a flat on your own, or will you be sharing? And how many bedrooms would you?
I would say mostly like an ideal situation would be like close to where I work. Like, it has like lots of traffic, it's close to everywhere. And I'm thinking yeah, and at the same time moving with my partner, so I actually need a 2-bedroom like flat. But yeah, anywhere close to the tube station and convenient everywhere, I think would be nice.
That's a really clear picture. Thank you. 2-bedroom flat close to a tube station for you and your partner makes total sense, especially with you working in Mayfair. To help me narrow things down, what sort of budget were you thinking of for the monthly rent?
I'm not too sure, but I know that kind of the market value right now is around like £1,000 to £2,000. Like if you're renting London, right? So probably around that.
Right, that's a helpful starting point. £1,000 to £2,000 is a good range to have in mind. Though I should mention that for a 2-bedroom flat in the more central areas like Mayfair itself, you might find things are a bit higher. But there are definitely great options in nearby neighborhoods that are well connected and could fit within that budget. It sounds like you're pretty invested in finding the right place in London. The best way to get you a really tailored list of properties and some expert advice on the best areas for your budget would be to connect you with one of our consultants. They can do a free 30 to 45-minute consultation with you over Zoom to really nail down the details. What date and time would work for you for that?
How about like 18th of November, maybe like Tuesday. Can we do like maybe like 1 p.m. if that's possible?
Tuesday the 18th at 1 p.m. Let me just have a quick look and see if we have that slot available for you. Can you hold on just a minute? Great news. That slot is available. So Tuesday the 18th at 1 p.m. UK time. Would you like me to go ahead and book that consultation for you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Brilliant. Right. Well, let me just get that booked in for you. Can you hold on for just a minute while I sort that out? Perfect. That's all booked in for you. You're confirmed for Tuesday the 18th at 1 p.m. We'll send a confirmation email over with the Zoom link shortly. I look forward to talking to you then, Tom. Have a great day. Bye.
Sure, thank you. Okay, well, this is the demo. As you can see, like it just basically books an appointment, like in the Google Calendar. And also imagine that I'm the real estate side. I also got the leads in my CRM. I'm just using Google Sheets for now. Of course, it works for any CRM that you have, HubSpot, Soho, whatever, right? Whatever CRM you have. So you can see that Tom Smith with my email, right? Renting, like timeline, right? Less than 30 days. The status is like renter moving from Spain to London next month, location near Mayfair, close to public transport, preferably near the tube station. And then we have the property, which is the two-bedroom house, sorry, and the budget is around 2,000 a month, right? So how do we build that? This will be really useful for the real estate agent to like just have someone qualified, right? So let me actually show you how we come about and build it. And to do that, we're just going to go to a voice agent platform that allows us to build this. It's called Blend AI. So if you go to the Blend AI, and this is a dashboard, you can actually see all the different calls that just happened. Like this was the call just happened just now. That takes 5 minutes, right? You can see this was the call just happened. But this is not a tutorial on Blend AI, which I will cover in the next video. But this is just to show you how we think about building this kind of voice agent applications. So the way to do that is you would go to conversational pathways. And you would go to real estate qualification and booking, which is something that I've already done. But like in order to create a start one, you would just click on create pathway and start from there. I'm just going to go to mine and basically show you how we think about this. Actually, before we even think about like kind of the conversational pathway inside of Blend, what we actually use, as I showed you before, like is actually using the NEN. So this is actually like we have the first trigger, which is on form submission. So what that means is that once the form is submitted, aka I'm kind of simulating kind of the form on your website, it works exactly the same. When the user basically clicks submit message, it will basically activate this trigger and it will send a request to Blend AI, as you can see, to Blend AI. And it will basically send a call to my phone number that I just provide in this lead form, and it will call me up instantly, basically. So there's no waiting time. So maybe I can show you like kind of the API doc. So if you go to send call Blend API, yep, so you'll get from here. And if you go to send call, this is the API docs. So the way you do that is you literally just click copy and you go to the NEN workflow. You basically just paste in this URL, and then you basically need to obtain your API key within Blend, right, to set up an authorization token. Because as you can see, you will need the URL. You will need to type in the content type, which is application JSON, right? So you go to here. You basically go to the headers, you add the header in here, application JSON. So all this does is basically specifying the specific information that you want the voice AI agent to have before sending the call to the user, aka me, right? You have the authorization and then you have the API key. And the way you do that, by the way, is if you go to click on my profile, you go on settings, go to API keys, and then you go ahead and create a new API key this way and just copy it back into here, right? And from here, basically, if you go back to the variables from the, okay, you can't see it here, but basically on the form, you can see that we're basically entering the information that we need, right? So we have the phone number, which is captured through the form that the user submitted just now, right? We have the pathway ID. So this is kind of like the agent ID within the voice of Blend AI. So you can do that by just click on copy pathway ID, and you can just copy paste this into here. This tells Blend that you basically send the call to this specific project that you've created inside Blend AI. You also have request data, which is kind of the metadata that the voice agent should get during the conversations. What I mean by that is this. So I have here first name is the first name captured within the form. I have the last name, which is the last name that the user entered in the form. So it's the same as email and the mobile number. So the reason why I want to put this in the request data is because when I send the request into this conversational pathway, this project within Blend AI, I want Blend AI, right, this voice agent to have context who the user are, right? What's his name, right? My name is Tom. What's his email, right? It should have all that information inside this agent as context, basically. And this is how you specify it by using the request data field. And you basically specify which pathway version it is value 2, right? And then you just basically set up this call. So whenever a form is submitted, it basically sends an API request. So it sends a specific request to the voice agent into Blend, right? So you can see here, this is the Blend conversational pathway. Now, if you've never used Blend before, it's actually a no-code solution. I would say a low-code solution that's kind of allows you to build this voice agents without writing much code. And the way that it's do that is using a lot of drag and drop interface. So the first thing that you should do is you click on Add New Node. And from here, you can see all the different nodes available within Blend AI. Now, we don't actually need all of it. Like this, again, I can do a more comprehensive tutorial in Blend AI if you want. But for now, the only really node that you really need for this project, right, is a default node, right? So actually, the first thing is the start node. I apologize, this is the start node. So the start node is basically the first node that every single voice agent would always, start with, right? And within the start node, you basically, it's also a default node type, right? Again, this is a default node type. And you can basically name the node, and you can actually toggle this to prompt or static test. Static test is basically asking the agent to say something very, very specific, right? It's like very, very specific. It's like they always say the same thing. So for example, it's like, hey, this is actually I should change that because the voice is actually a male. So maybe, hi, this is maybe like Kevin, maybe. It's better, sorry. I should have changed the name. Hi, this is Kevin calling from Hamilton Properties. It's his first name. Now, all the variables inside variables basically are dynamic piece of information. For example, in this case, it depends on the user, right? So the way that you specify variables is using double curly brackets. So basic example for now is first name, right? And close double bracket. You can see this blue little thing. That means that it's a variable inside Blend AI. Now, exactly, you can see now why within the end-to-end workflow, which is the automation workflow, we want to specify the first name here, right? Because we're capturing the information from the form. We're trying to send the contextual data through N8N, through this request to Blend AI. And that's why Blend just now was able to know my name is Tom, right? It's through this variable, right? Now, of course, if you turn off static test, you can just put a prompt. So that allows the agent to dynamically say anything that you want, essentially, right? So that's the only configuration you need to do. And yeah, basically ignore the rest and basically say, hey, this is Tom. I didn't save it. I didn't save it. Hi, this is Kevin from Hamilton. Is this Tom, right? And then when you created a new node within, let's say we have two nodes, right? In Blend, the way that you connect them is basically by drag and drop this and try to connect the two dots. Once you connect it, you can see this little label pops up. It's actually called pathway labels. So pathway labels within Blend AI actually tells the voice agent like what's the condition to pass from one node to another, right? So what's the logic and what should happen in order for data to transfer from this node to the second node, right? As an example, you can just say like the user responded, and then you can just put a description, more detailed description for the AI agent to be able to know when it should pass information from this first node to second node. This is actually why it's allowed to have very structured conversation, like the one that I just had with Blend inside, but within Blend, right? So I'm just going to cancel that. So I'm just going to put in here, so the user can either confirm that they are indeed Tom, or the user can decline, right? Those are the only two possibilities. And if I take on the label of user confirmed, I basically say when the user confirms that it is indeed the name, right? And the other possibility is basically the user decline, which basically means the user say it's not the name. So if that's the case, then it should just quickly end call, right? You can say something like, you can add something like, hey, sorry, it's the wrong person, then just end the call, right? But if the user does confirm, you can basically ask if they are free, right? So you should basically ask, perfect. So the reason I'm calling you is because we have just submitted the inquiry form for Hamilton's real estate just now. This is a good time for a chat, right? So you basically allowed kind of again, you're using static to ask if they're free, right? Again, that's it. Again, another note. And there are, again, two possibilities, right? The user is either free or the user is not. If the user is free, again, you use the pathway label. You basically put a description of the user confirmed that they're free now to talk indeed. Or the user is not free and they indicated they're free or indicated they're, sorry, it should be they are not free or they do not want to talk at the moment, right? So if the user is not free, we basically just have a note, another default note, right? Basically just saying bye. Okay, no problem. We'll call you back later when you're free. Have a nice day, right? And then you should end the call, right? So I basically connect this bye note again back to the end call note, and we have I just call it basically always make this path, because basically that tells the agent that no matter what happens here, it should always go to the end call node, basically, right? This is kind of think about how you handle like certain edge cases, right? Basically by allowing this kind of decision trees inside this canvas, right? And if the user is free, then this is our first proper AI node, right? So we use the prompt, we turn off static test, and we basically have a prompt. By the way, if you click on this little thing, you can actually ask it to provide a prompt for you, but personally, I haven't really used it that much. Like I find it it's very good to give you a draft, but it's not really good at production yet. So I usually just maybe use Claude or ChatGPT to help you with the prompt, and then you need to adjust it by yourself to make it fit your specific business study. So from here, a good prompt will have an objective, right? Is to have a natural, consultative conversation to understand the caller situations and needs. Focus on listening and gathering information rather than pushing properties and services, right? So discovery score is hey, what makes you fill in the form today? You're trying to listen to them, right? And you try to ask them about their current situation. Are they renting? Are they trying to buy properties? Are they selling? Are they owning? Right? This should be UK. The UK, right? And what makes you want to consider move right now, right? Why are they suddenly interested in property? Are they just changing jobs, family, lifestyle, etc., right? So you try to really, again, understand the user. You're not trying to be annoying. You're not trying to sell them anything. You're just trying to be understanding. This is what discovery is, right, to the user. And you will have a future visions okay, when you picture your ideal next play, what does it look like, right, etc., right? And yeah, etc. And then you basically ask for kind of the practical constraints, what their budget is, the timeline for buying or renting of properties, right? As you heard in the demo, etc. Now, this is the part where you can be creative with your prompt to fit your specific use case. If you're an agency that just focus on selling and buying properties, you can just say that. You can just specify that within the prompt, right? And a good prompt will always have kind of do that and do not do that, right? So, for example, ask one question at a time, use natural follow-ups, but don't jump to solutions or property suggestions, use industry jargon, talk about your success or credentials, run through questions, etc. Right? This is basically a list of things that the agent should do and should not do. And then you'll basically have a little subsession, basically transition to next steps and basically say, hey, thanks for walking through all of that, right, etc. So this is basically a prompt that, again, feel free to make your own prompt, I encourage you to make your own prompt right within here. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that within this default node, one thing that we haven't touched before is what we call loop condition. And I'll just turn that on for this specific note. What is loop condition within Blend AI is that it's actually describing the condition for when the agent should move to the next node or loop on this node. So if the condition is not met, the agent will stay on this node until the condition is met. So basically here, if you write all the information that the agent has to satisfy these conditions, if the agent can't satisfy this condition, aka the conditions that you write here, the agent will not move from this node to the next node. So it will just stay on this node forever until the conditions here are met, right? So from here, the loop conditions are you've gathered key information, what prompted them for the inquiry, the current situation, timeline, location, basic property requirements, number of bedrooms, and budget range. You must have clear answers, right? So if the agent does not have a clear answers for these kind of basic information about the user, about the customer, it will not move on from discovery. That means that it needs to do more discovery, right? And another node that I turned on within this default node is something called extract call information to variables. So what that does is actually throughout the conversation is extracting key information provided to the user and save it inside variable inside blend so that we can pass the information along later to, for example, your CRM. That's how, by the way, we were able to kind of link that information, right, for the demo into the Google Sheets, which is a simulation of your CRM, like HubSpot, Soho, Salesforce, etc. Right? And yeah, these are the variables. So I've typed like a variable name intent. I've defined the variable type. It can either be a string, basically text, integer, number, Boolean, true or false. So for now, it's string. And we basically say what specifically triggered the form submission. Like, are they buying, selling, renting, or they're just exploring, right? And then we have the timeline, which is the string. Again, the user's timeline in renting, selling, or buying the properties, like if they're urgent, active in 1 to 3 months, they're flexible, 3 to 6 months, or just research, right? So this is kind of the, this is basically kind of the description of the variable. So you basically let the agent know what this variable actually means, right? Same with status, the current, are you a renter, loaner, seller, buying, etc. And your lease and date, if lease and date, renting. You have the location, like where they are from, and you have the property requirements such as the number of bedrooms or bathroom and the property type, and you have the price range they're comfortable with, right? Can be done, right? And then basically these will give tell the LLM to actually extract the information from the dialogue into the variables, right? And then you just say that, right? And now there are 2 situations. The user is either qualified or they're not qualified. Again, we're using the pathway description. So if the user is not qualified, then you just say like, it seems like you may not be quite ready yet. If you change your mind, please feel free to give us a call back. Have a wonderful day. And then you just link using the always like to the end call, right? Obviously, you can handle this a little bit better. You can be more creative, right? You can be like, hey, you can do something like, oh, I'm just going to save your information inside a CRM, but I'm going to call you back in a bit. So you can set up some sort of reactivation campaign later on when they're ready, right? So you can be a lot more sophisticated than that, but this is just a simplified use case. Now, if the user is indeed qualified, you basically do the qualification of the discovery. Then you move on to the booking, right? You basically say, hey, great, sounds like you're pretty invested into properties in London. Let me schedule you with our consultants, right? This way you kind of push for the bookings with the consultant to have like to your sales team to like have a proper like discussion, because you know that they're qualified. They want to buy properties. Like, they're not time wasters, right? This is basically filter out any time wasters. So that means that any Zoom meetings that your team gets on mean that the lead must be qualified. There's a high chance that they will convert to customers, depending on how good your sales team is, right? So basically, you are just asking the user what day and time would work for you. Again, we're using a loop condition, meaning that it won't leave the node until the customers has secured a specific date and time the user suggested for the consultation, right? So this is being very, 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 again, very specific, right? That you must provide the date and time. I'm extracting again the variables. I'm extracting the date. This is just the date, right? The current year is 2025. Time, this is around 9 p.m., right? The time and date that the user actually provides us, right? Once the user provides us, then we have, again, a label, right? The user responded, right? So basically the user provides us the date and time. Then we go to a new node. So to do that, you will want to click on webhook. This is what we call a webhook node. A webhook node basically allows a voice agent to send information from Blend to an external application. Now, what we're doing here is assuming that the real estate company has a Google Calendar, right? That they have an Office Google Calendar to check for availabilities. Now, it works the same for like Microsoft, like Outlook Calendar, essentially the same, right? As well as other calendar system. Basically, what I've done is you want to use, again, end-to-end, which is the automation platform. Within here, we set up basically a different like webhook here, right? We set up basically a webhook node. And to do that, all you have to do is click on plus, type in webhook, and you'll just click on this, right? And the webhook, basically, you have the URL. All you have to do is go to production URL, click to copy this address and paste it in here. And you just follow along, right? It's a post, so post. So you're sending information from Blend AI, the voice agent, to the end-to-end workflow to check for the Google Calendar availabilities, right? And you have the header, which is making sure that end-to-end actually knows that you're sending a JSON, which is a data schema of this type, right? And then you have a body, which is basically you have the email, right? Again, double bracket, double curly bracket, because it's a variable inside Blend. You've got the name, the first name, location is UK, booking date, extracted from user, and the booking time extracted from the user, right? So you send basically this specific format structure to this webhook. And once you're done, you basically what you want to do is you want to set up an AI agent, right? By clicking on this AI agent inside of NA10. And inside of NAN, this AI agent will basically connect to your Google Calendar. And the way to do that is, first of all, you connect it to the OpenAI GPT model, right? Then from tool, you just click plus, and you will just click on Canada, right? Sorry, you put on Canada. So you can just click on Google Calendar tool, and then from here you will go from there, right? So basically for me, I have a check availability like Google Calendar tool, and then basically I have a description of run this tool to basically check one slot availability that the user wants, right? And inside the AI agent, I basically get a prompt of basically saying to check the appointment availability for the user and suggest the closest available time slot if the requested like time is not available. So basically you basically let the agent know, again, kind of the step-by-step process of how you should determine the availability, which is first, like, let's say, determine the user's time zone, right? Identify user time zone based on their location. And then you just need to convert them to UTC, right? So make sure that, just to make sure that the time zone is correct. And then you just run the check the availability for the requested time slot inside Google Calendar. If the requested slot is available, inform user of the availability. If the requested slot is not available, you find alternative slots, right? And you basically communicate the results, etc. So you just take in the information sent, the booking date, right? The booking date from here, booking date and booking time from here, and you send it inside to this AI agent. And the agent will also have access to the location, email, and the first name, right, of the user based on this, right? And using all of that information, and then it's connected to your Google Calendar, and just go ahead and check your availability, right, by just connecting to your Google Calendar, aka this one, right? And you just basically connect to this, check for the availability. And if this slot's not available, this agent is actually able to suggest like similar slots. And to do that, you basically have another tool, basically called check empty slots. So basically you run this tool if the time slot that the user wants is busy and we need to find more available slots, right? So from here, you can just set it like such that check the date and time when the user wants to have the meeting and add 7 days to it. So count 7 days ahead. So like kind of like a plus or minus 7 day situation to kind of let the user know kind of if they're like what other slots are available, if the slot the user wants is kind of non-available, right? And then you have a response to the webhook, which basically send the information back to Blend AI. This is why we have the response data toggled on, right? So you will just have the availability. This is just basically the path that this agent basically responds, right? And you basically have a description to let Blend know. So what this variable means is like whether the user suggests time slot is favorable or not. So this agent will respond back to the Blend AI and basically let Blend knows if the available time slot is available or not, right? And I also turn on send speech during webhook because during this webhook operation, it's checking for availabilities, right? If it just goes silent, it'll be really awkward for the user. So from the demo, you can see that it's basically asking the user to hold on a minute while you're looking up if that slot is available or not, right? So it's being very, very like essentially help like kind of to reduce that dead space and awkwardness. This is why you would turn this toggle on, right? And yeah, this is pretty much it. And like you also can select the pathway after API request response, and you can just select the node that you want this to go to, right? By default, it will go to the kind of the confirm like slots, right? Which means that after you check the availability, you basically go to the confirm slots node, which is a default node, right? And basically based on the availability, if the slot is available, ask the user to confirm whether the user would like to go ahead and book, right? So it's basically, again, saying that if Thursday 5 p.m. is available, you're asking the user again to confirm if they want to finalize the booking. The user said no, right? Then that means that you basically say, no problem, ask the user to give you what day and time they would like to book instead, and then you go back to the check availability to check again, right? So this basically handles the edge case if the user say no, or if the user say the wrong date, or if they change their mind. If the user indeed say yes, aka the user confirmed they want to book that slot, then you go ahead to another webhook node, sending another API request to NTN to actually do the actual booking. And the way you do the actual booking, again, is through another AI agent connected to the Google Calendar tool inside NTN. You will set up the webhook exactly the same, and you will then send the information, right? The email, the name, the location, the booking date and time, all those information you will send to this AI agent, right? So this AI agent is to book the appointment for the client by executing the book appointment tool, to determine the user's time zone and analyze the user's location, and to confirm the availability, and use the user's name and email, and you have all this access to the information, which is the requested booking date, time, the location, name, email, and current time, and use all of that and connect it to the book appointment tool, which is just a Google Calendar tool. And description is run this tool to book an appointment, right? So you would just connect to the Google Calendar tool, and this agent would go ahead and actually book the appointment. And it will send the results of the booking back to the webhook, back to the response data, back to Blend AI. And Blend AI will have access to the variable, which is called result, the result of the booking, right? So very similar to how we do the availability, but this time it's actually doing the actual booking. Now, again, we have the send speech during webhook to avoid the awkwardness, and we have the pathway after API request response, which is actually it goes straight to the saved data to the CRM, right? So that means this is telling the user that the booking has been successfully booked, but obviously to prepare for the sales call, the sales team needs to have access to the information about the user, right? So what I've done here is have another webhook. Basically, we have another webhook inside NTN that will save it to your CRM. Right? You can save it to, let's say, Soho. You can save it to, let's say, HubSpot if you want. But for now, I'm just going to use the Google Sheets, right? And it's going to send all the information again through this webhook node. You have the first name, you have the last name, you have the email, you have the intent, the timeline. Let's say basically all the information. Remember all the information that was basically captured during the discovery node here. Remember we were capturing 6 variables, if I'm not, yep, exactly. So 6 variables here. All this information captured there are basically being sent at the end of the call to the CRM. So the sales teams actually have context about that specific customer. And after that, it will just go to end call book, which is saying the slot has been successfully booked and wish to talk to them and say bye. And that is how you will think about building some sort of voice AI system for your real estate company that whenever a lead inquires you guys, it will immediately call the lead up, do some discovery and qualify the leads and secure a booking immediately, right? And yeah, this is it. And by the way, if you want something like this, like maybe a more advanced version, like more production-ready solution of this being created for your business, you're more than welcome to use the link in the description to book a free discovery call with me and my team, and we can discuss how we can build this for your business, right? And yeah, maybe another extension that I'm thinking of right now is basically have some sort of knowledge base. Basically, if the user has questions about the specific kind of questions about the, well, real estate company, it's very common, right? So the way to do that is actually set up a node. And again, it's basically called knowledge base. So if you add new node, you click on knowledge base, right? And inside the knowledge base, you can actually select which knowledge base you have. And the way to create knowledge base, by the way, guys, is actually through knowledge bases. And you click, not test knowledge base, but you click on upload. And from here, you can actually upload any PDF document that you have, maybe common FAQs or your SOP, standard operating procedures of your real estate. You can just upload that here and it will appear here, right? I've already uploaded a document, which is called Hamilton's Real Estate FAQ that I kind of just make it up, right? And once it's uploaded within Blend, the voice agent in Blend, for example, this specific project, will then have access to this FAQ and can reference to it. And the way that is able to reference to that is through the knowledge base, right? And again, you select the knowledge base and you have the prompt, which is basically you're an FAQ assistant from real estate, right? And then you basically set up the tone and the style, you set some key information. Basically, you set up as a very direct FAQ agent that users can ask questions with, right? And I can make it a global node and turn this global node on. So the global node basically means that any node inside this project, like for example, this, here, any time, anywhere throughout the entire conversation, the agent, the voice agent actually has access to this node. So anytime they want, they can jump into this global node. And this global node will answer the questions, right? And you can set up conditions, right? It's basically saying when a user has a question, whenever the user has a question on Hamilton's properties, so like use this when the user has a specific question on Hamilton's properties policies and general FAQs, whenever they have that, they can just jump straight into this knowledge base and just answer the questions once they're done and just get out and go back to where they were, right? The way you do that, by the way you set it up, is through automatically go back to previous node. So after the dialog from this node is generated, automatically go back to the previous node that triggered this global node. So it means that if we're here, if we're asking them if they're free and they have questions about Hamilton's real estate, it will jump to this global node here. And once they're done answering the questions, it will go back to the like node where asked if they're free, right? So it doesn't just create this. It creates this kind of continuous flow of this conversational, essentially. So this is one extension that you can do, right? There are multiple extensions that you can do, but I'm not going to cover everything within this video. And yeah, so before I go as well, like one final thing is that within the global prompt, it's something that you can write. So the global prompt is basically appended to every node's instruction in this pathway, and you can use it to define like a consistent behavior. One way that will reduce like identity, right? So like I say, you're Steve, a highly experienced sales agent. You can have a very consistent voice and tone, pronunciation, conversational principles, some general principles that every node within at any point during the conversation, the voice agent should have access to. You basically just plug that within the global prompt. But yeah, and the way that you can test it is click on test pathway. From here, you can just kind of chat with it and just test it this way, or you can just click test voice and just chat here this way. So yeah, this is kind of a compact tutorial on how you can set something up like a real estate lead qualification appointment booking agent in Blend AI. And yeah, hopefully you've gained so much in this video. And again, if you want to work with me and my team, you can more than welcome to book a free discovery call with me and my team in the link in the description. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, I will see you in the next video.